Welcome back to another flight adventure. Join me today on my first trip in Cathay Pacific's business class. I have tried many other business class products before, including Qatar Airways, Gulf Air, Austrian Airlines, Lufthansa and others. However, I never had the chance to try Cathay Pacific. But a recent trip to China was a nice opportunity to finally give them a try. I flew them from Singapore to Hong Kong and later from Hong Kong to Chongqing. I'll split this into two videos, since those are two very different business class hard products. So let's check out of the hotel and go to the airport. But before I hop on the MRT, it's time for my favorite breakfast in Singapore, kaya toast. It's very cheap and is usually offered in a set with soft-boiled eggs and a choice of hot drink. Looks very basic, but believe me, when you're in Singapore, you have to try it. I then headed down to the MRT and made my way across its vast network, which covers almost all parts of Singapore. And they are still expanding with completely new lines planned. The Green Line was not too busy that morning, so I had a relaxed ride all the way to Tanah Merah, where you have to switch over to the line's airport branch. A couple of minutes later, I arrived at the airport and made my way up the escalators. I had arrived at the airport very early because I wanted to have enough time to take the SkyTrain through the Jewel. In case you didn't know, you can actually do that landside to travel between terminals 2 and 3. Funny enough, it actually also has airside cars. We're on the SkyTrain from Terminal 2 to Terminal 3 now, and it's actually empty. I've never seen it empty. So the train slows down a little bit so that everyone can have a great view. Wow. Just wow. Welcome to Terminal 3, that's the Crowne Plaza Hotel on the left side. Once arrived at Terminal 3, I headed back to the Jewel through the walkway to have one more look from its upper floors before it was time to catch the bus to Terminal 4. Not after long, I made my way down the escalators to the curbside of Terminal 1, where the bus to Terminal 4 departs from. Terminal 4 is completely separated from the other terminals here at Changi Airport and is too far to walk given the heat and humidity in Singapore. The airport, however, provides a free shuttle bus service from the other terminals, which you can catch outside. The Changi Airport website provides all the necessary information about it, including service times. Made it to Terminal 4, let's go inside and try to check in. Check-in for Cathay Pacific was at row 6, so I made my way over there only to find that I seemed to be the only one around. Their previous flight had just departed, so it was all very empty. Check-in still took over 10 minutes for me though due to passport and visa checks, but soon I found myself through security and airside in Terminal 4's shopping area. Welcome to Terminal 4 here at Changi Airport. Just past security. Security is a bit different to the other terminals here at Changi, so in the other terminals, the security is done right at the gate. Here in Terminal 4, it's actually a central security. You pass immigration, then you pass the security, and then you're in the open area. After a bit of shopping, I made my way to Cathay's lounge on the upper floor. The Cathay Pacific Lounge in Singapore is separated into several different areas. I especially like the wide open space area with lots of cushioned seating. I also liked the combination of the colors and the dimmed lighting, which from my perspective created a very calming atmosphere. The lounge was completely empty, and since it was lunchtime by now, I decided to sit down in the dining part first. All Cathay lounges seem to have these noodle and dim sum bars, and I was eager to give it a try. These options sounded all quite delicious. So the food has arrived and I went for the Singapore prawn noodle. Let's see what else they have. Because apart from the noodle bar, they also have a buffet here. They have black olive fried rice, some baked macaroni with cheese. Well, that's not very Asian. Chicken satay and a soup. And some very limited salad options. Oh, they have cheese. I love cheese. And fresh orange juice. After getting some more food, I checked out the dessert options, which seemed to be a bit limited. I skipped the dessert and just sat down in a chair in the open area to relax before the flight. I was wondering for a while where the power outlets are, but then discovered they can be pulled from the tables. Around an hour before boarding, I made my way over to the gate to see the aircraft arrive. The gate area of Terminal 4 feels very spacious, and they have these chairs that remind me a bit of Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport. But Singapore definitely has more trees in the terminal than Paris. I reached the gate area here, gate 320. Right now it's completely empty. And what I really like here is, so when I went up here, I thought, wow, the seats are very far away from the window. But then I discovered they actually have thought of any afgeeks here. And they have established a way to get to the window. Isn't that amazing? Less amazing was that I saw on Flight Radar 24 that the inbound flight from Hong Kong had entered a holding pattern over the ocean just northeast of Singapore, which usually means delays. In fact, lots of flights were holding in more or less stable patterns. I was wondering about the reason, so I opened the Windy app to briefly check the current weather situation. The latest weather report for Singapore Airport looked fine in general, apart from some big clouds and possibly some thunderstorms in the greater surroundings. But all in all, rather usual weather for Singapore, so I didn't expect too much delay and my inbound flight would continue its arrival any minute now. Just half an hour later, the inbound flight had landed, and as I was getting ready to film the Airbus A350 turning into the gate, it was taxiing past me? Turns out they had changed the gate and I hadn't realized it. But it was close by, so I quickly headed over there. And there it was, Bravo Lima Quebec Foxtrot, an Airbus A350-900, just under 3 years old. At the time of my flight, Cathay had 28 of them in the fleet, with the 29th having joined them in July this year. Meanwhile, a thunderstorm rolled in from the distance and I hoped it wouldn't affect our flight. Boarding was slightly delayed, but still within reasonable limits. Cathay's A350-900 features 38 seats in business class, 28 in premium economy and 214 seats in economy class. Business class seats are arranged in a 1-to-1 reverse herringbone configuration with the window seats facing the window and the middle seats facing each other. Right, we have the remote control for the television here, we have a reading light, we have the seat controls. We have a little mirror here. We have the headphones and a power outlet. Then we have the screen up here. The screen actually comes out. If you press this button, it comes out. Let's have a look at today's menu. The first page was actually a leaflet containing the wine list, but I wasn't in the mood for wine today, so I put it aside. The actual menu started with a welcome page, followed by the dinner choices. The starters and the mains actually all sounded very good. That being said, I should point out that I'm an absolute fan of Asian food in general, and I was hoping for Cathay not to disappoint here. The drink choices were quite extensive from my impression. They had a number of cocktails, along with a selection of liquors and spirits. And then there was the tea selection. As I've mentioned on this channel before, I do like a good tea, and Cathay sure offered plenty of choice here. At the bottom I found something very promising, the Hong Kong style milk tea, a local specialty of Hong Kong made with black tea and, well, milk.
呢班係禁煙航班，喺機艙任何地方吸煙或使用電子煙都係屬於違法。
just took off from Singapore. We turned left for departure. And very smooth climb as well. There's no turbulence at all, really. The seat is very comfortable. The headrest is extremely comfortable. And I'm just, like, every time I'm amazed by how quiet the cabin of the Airbus A350 is. It's fantastic. Well, let's check out the entertainment system. Looks very slick, very modern. Let's see what they got. Got a lot of very interesting movies, actually. I also noticed that the screen is very responsive, so all in all, I really like the system. I think it looks very modern. I don't think I've seen that design on any airline so far. The noise-cancelling headphones were standard for business class, but of good quality, and as far as I interpreted the 2022 mark on the inside, also just about a year old. As the sun was slowly beginning to set outside, I still had a majority of the flight ahead of me, so I decided to watch a movie called Scamsgiving. It was offered in Mandarin only, but at least they had English subtitles. So, just like half an hour after takeoff, crew came around with the beer service. This is the appetizer, and they have some Parma ham and some salad and nuts, and also a Cathay Delight drink. Let's see. Oh, this is really tasty. Quite a lot of turbulences at the moment. Very good appetizer. So, main course has just arrived. It's the fish curry. Let's see. Very good. Fish is very tender. Sauce a little bit spicy, and then they also give you some vegetables on the side. Meanwhile, I continued watching the movie, which I thought was quite funny. The dessert options were limited, basically consisting of cheese, fruit and ice cream. I went for the latter, which turned out to be completely frozen. I've had this on other business class flights before, and I just had to wait a bit for it to get softer. The movie had now gotten to a point where they throw boba pearls at every dish they cook, something I definitely could not approve of. The milk tea which the flight attendant had brought around in the meantime was much more appealing than the food in the movie and tasted quite good. And then of course, despite this being a short day flight, I just had to test out the seat's live flight function. After all, this is the same product they use on long-haul flights. I then quickly went to the loo. Normally I wouldn't bother filming in here, but this one was quite nice and had a window view. Though I'm not sure what the use case for the window blind is, maybe just to keep the loo dark on some day flights? The flight continued quite uneventfully, apart from the beautiful sunset outside. As the sun descended below the horizon, we commenced our own descent from 40,000 feet down towards Hong Kong. And now I don't even have to add some music to the video, since Cathay already does that during the descent. We were coming in for an approach to runway 25 right. Now when 25 is the operating direction at Hong Kong Airport, it means you get a stunning approach over the city, first coming from the east, then turning southwest over the city towards the runways. As such, people sitting on the left side get an amazing view of the city. Unfortunately, it was pitch dark and also a bit cloudy during our approach, so I couldn't see that much. I was actually quite excited about the landing on runway 25 right, since it is Hong Kong's newest runway and was just opened in July 2022. When it opened, the old runway 25 right was renamed to 25 Center. That runway 25 Center is currently closed for renovations, but expected to be operational again in 2024. And despite the delay we had on departure, we managed to pull up to the gate spot on time, right at the scheduled arrival time. And so I finally stepped foot in Hong Kong Airport again for the first time since before the pandemic. The last time I had been here was back in 2019, almost 4 years ago. Hong Kong had one of the strictest anti-COVID measurements, and for some time during the pandemic they didn't even allow passengers to transit here at the airport. So I was happy to be back and made my way down to the bus station to catch the hotel shuttle bus. And just in case you were wondering, I used Alaska Airlines mileage plan miles to book this flight. They are rather easy to come by as Alaska runs regular sales with high bonuses. The flight from Singapore to Chongqing through Hong Kong cost me 22,500 miles plus about $100 in fees and taxes. For what I got today and what I would get tomorrow, I thought that was excellent value. Now here at the 4 Points by Sheraton on Lantau Island here in Hong Kong. They have a shuttle from the airport and it runs every hour and it takes about 10 minutes to get here. So that was quite straightforward. Well, how to summarize the flight? It was absolutely fantastic. The crew was amazing. I really liked the seats, especially the soft headrest. Tomorrow I'm off to Chongqing in China, which reminds me I still need to generate the QR code to get into China. So they have mostly lifted all the restrictions except for you have to fill out an online form and get a QR code. So I'm gonna do that now and then have a relaxed flight to Chongqing. See you tomorrow.